They had a Disneyland annual pass. They went every year. They took family photos. At home, 13 children were chained to beds. The neighbors never knew. Nobody did.
January 14th, 2018, 3:24 in the morning. A teenage girl called 911 from a deactivated cell phone. She said her name was Jordan. She had 12 siblings inside the house. Some of them were chained to beds. She did not know her own address. She had never been outside alone before that night. She described the mailbox, described the neighbor's fence. Police triangulated the address. 160 Muirwoods Road, Perris, California. A completely ordinary house on a completely ordinary street. Police knocked. David Turpin answered the door. He was calm. He said everything was fine. It was not fine. Inside, 13 people, ages 2 to 29, malnourished, several still chained to their beds. The first officer later said he thought he was looking at children. They were adults. The oldest was 29 years old. She weighed 82 pounds. David Allen Turpin, born 1961. He worked as an engineer at Northrop Grumman. Never missed a day. Louise Turpin, born 1965. She homeschooled their children. Described by people who knew her as quiet. They married in 1981. She was 16. He was 20. They had their first child in 1986. They would have 12 more over the next 22 years. Neighbors said they were a normal family. Religious. Kept to themselves. The children were not allowed to go outside. Not allowed to have friends. Not allowed to touch each other. They were permitted to shower once a year. They slept during the day. They were awake at night. The curtains were always closed. Food, one small meal per day, sometimes less. David and Louise ate fast food in front of them. The children were forced to write in journals every day, thousands of pages, for years. If a child touched their food without permission, the meal was taken away. If a child washed their hands above the wrist, they were accused of playing in water. Punished. Several children were chained for months at a time, for small infractions that David and Louise decided were punishable. One child was kept chained continuously for more than 2 years. The youngest child was 2 years old when police arrived. She had never known anything else. Here is the thing I cannot stop thinking about. The Turpins had a Disneyland annual pass. They took all 13 children to Disneyland. Every year. Multiple visits. They wore matching outfits. They took family photos. They posted them online. They looked like any other large family. Nobody at the park asked why these children looked the way they did. Nobody on the street. Nobody in a parking lot. Nobody anywhere asked any questions. Jordan later said, during these trips, the children were told to act normal. They tried. They had been raised with no other reference point. They did not know what a normal family looked like. They thought every family lived this way. The outside world existed 30 feet from their front door. They had never been able to reach it. Jordan had been planning her escape for months. She practiced climbing out the window at night. In secret. For weeks. January 14th, 2018. She waited until her parents were asleep. She climbed out. The plan: find a neighbor, borrow a phone, call 911. She had rehearsed it hundreds of times in her mind. The first neighbor she approached didn't answer. She kept walking. She found a phone. She dialed. The dispatcher answered. When police arrived, Jordan was sitting on a curb, shaking. It was her first time outside alone. Police entered the house. Darkened rooms. Closed doors. The smell of filth. The chains had padlocks. Louise kept the keys. Several of the children could not walk properly. Their muscles had never developed enough to hold them upright. David and Louise Turpin were arrested January 14th, 2018. Charges: torture, child abuse, false imprisonment, 49 counts each. At trial, Louise Turpin stood and addressed the children directly. She said she loved them. She said she was sorry. The children did not respond. David Turpin, life in prison. Eligible for parole after 25 years. Louise Turpin, the same. The 13 children were placed in care. Some have since spoken publicly. Some have not. Jordan Turpin later gave an interview. She said she wanted people to know her family's story. She said she was okay. I keep thinking about the window she climbed through. 30 feet from freedom. It took her 17 years to reach it. David Allen Turpin grew up in Clintwood, Virginia. His teachers remembered him as quiet, unremarkable. He went to college, studied engineering, got a job. He worked at Northrop Grumman for years. His colleagues described him as competent, kept to himself, professional. Every morning, he drove to work. Every evening, he came home. Nobody at the office had any idea. Louise controlled the locks. She kept the keys on her person. Every day, for years. She decided who was chained and when. She decided punishments. She was not passive. She was an architect. The older children were required to monitor the younger ones, to report infractions, to enforce the rules. When their parents weren't nearby, the children communicated in whispers, barely above silence. None of the children had ever attended school. Several had never seen a doctor. Several had never used a telephone, never spoken to a person outside the family. Jennifer Turpin, the oldest, 29 years old. She had spent her entire adult life inside that house. When police asked her how old she wasn't certain. She had lost track of the years. At Disneyland, the children walked in a group. They did not speak to strangers. They did not ask for anything. One child later said she watched other families in the park and didn't understand. Why were they allowed to be free? They drove home after every visit. The blinds closed. The chains waiting. Jordan had seen her parents use a cell phone. She had memorized how to dial 911. She had rehearsed it silently for months. The phone she had was deactivated. She didn't know if the call would connect. What Jordan didn't know: in the United States, 911 accepts calls from deactivated phones. It always has. The call connected. The dispatcher stayed on the line. When the first officers entered the house, they radioed for backup within 2 minutes. Several of the children had to be carried to the ambulances. Their legs could not hold them. At the hospital, medical staff noted that several children had never had their teeth brushed. Some had never tasted a fresh fruit or vegetable. Some did not know what ice was. Several of the children showed signs of cognitive delays from years of malnutrition and isolation. At trial, David Turpin wept. He said he loved his children. He said it 14 times. He did not say he was sorry. Not once. One of the children sat in the gallery the entire time their mother spoke. They looked at the floor. David Turpin is eligible for parole in 2043. He will be 82 years old. Louise Turpin is eligible for parole in 2043 as well. She will be 78. Jordan Turpin enrolled in college. In 2023, she appeared on Dancing with the Stars. She said, "I don't want people to feel sorry for me. I want them to know I'm okay."